Okay, so now we will move on to next topic, right? So yesterday we discussed about the data fundamentals, right? So data analyst fundamentals. So now we will move on to within the data analyst fundamentals or data analysis fundamentals. So we will cover the next topics. So we will cover, as I told you, like the first half an hour, I am going to take the theory session related to the data analysis fundamentals, right? So then we will move on to the Power BI, right? So this is what we will do for next 2 to 3 days, because I want to be the session very interactive, and so instead of boring you with only the theory sessions, right? So just I want to show you some demonstrations and as well as some interesting things on from my end as well. So this is what we are going to plan for today as well. So I will start with the fundamentals of data analysis first. So then once we cover for like 1 or 2 topics on that, right? So then we will move on to some important concepts of Power BI as well. Right. So starting with data analysis, as we discussing yesterday. Right. So we discussed yesterday like what is the data, and so uh, what as a data analyst, what as a data analyst, what are the things, or what is the data related things, right? So this is what we discussed yesterday, and what is the data and why they are requiring the data, and what you are doing with the data, right? So this is what we are doing with till now yesterday. So just I given the glimpse of data analyst yesterday, right? So now we will move on to the next, the fundamentals. Within the fundamentals, the topic is the types or categories of the storytelling, or the categories of uh, right. So the categories of data analysis, right? So there are different types of data analytics. So we will see what are the different types of data analytics within the data, right? So this is, we will see. So what is the data analytics? What are the different types of categories? So the first one within the data analytics, right? So the categories of data analytics. So the first category is called as a descriptive analysis, right? So descriptive descriptive analysis. So descriptive analysis is an analysis where you are going to perform on the data, right? So on the data uh, which you have, right? So which you have nothing but, so for example, you are collecting some data, right? So for example, you are uh, assume that you are running some car company, or like you are running some automobile company, automotive company, right? So every day you are selling some cars, or you are like producing, actually you are manufacturing some automobiles, or it might be a bikes, or it might be a motorcycles, or it might be a cars. Assume that you are manufacturing the cars, and uh, you are doing production every day on daily basis, and at the end of the day, right? So you are sending those production ready units to the distributors, right? So this is what your business is. Basically, you are uh, producing some automobiles, and you are sending to the distributor. So this is what your business is. So now you want to do the analysis, right? So in which kind of analysis you have to perform? So on descriptive analysis, for example, this is our business, right? So for example, automotive business we are working on. So we will understand all the categories of businesses by this use case called as uh, automotive businesses, right? So automotive business. In the automotive business, as I told you, so we are manufacturing some vehicles. It might be motorcycles, or it might be cars. So what we are doing? So we are doing production, and we are sending to the distributors. So every day we have some target, or we are doing some production, and we are sending to the distributors, right? So now at the end of the day, or at the end of the year, or end of the month, or at the end of the quarter, right? So somebody who is at the CEO level, or like who is at the financial manager level, or who are taking care of the financials, so they came to you and they ask you like, so how many units we have been sold for this quarter, right? So our report should able to give that answer to them. So how many units has been sold, how many units has been delivered to the delivered to the distributor, and how many units are in the production, and how many units are there in the inventory. So anyways, we done some production, but how many units are there in the inventory, right? So these are the details we need to give to the management or the people who is working as a business analyst or a business owner or a product owner. So they need to view the report on a daily basis or a weekly basis or monthly basis. So they want to see the report based on the the time period or the time period they want to see, right? So for this, we need to answer this question using a descriptive analysis. So descriptive analysis is nothing but so the analysis that you performed on the data that you have, right? So you are getting the data from the production, right? So this many units has been, so once the production is ready, so they will scan or they will do one they will do some any IoT device, so which they will scan. So once it is scanned, the production ready, right? So it will generate an unit within your data set, right? So you are collecting those IoT devices data from the different sources and you are collecting into your databases, right? So this is what it is happening every day, and you are responsible for creating those kind of reports, and you need to give the reports to the product owner and as well as the CEO and whoever at the high level, right? So for this, what you need to do, so the descriptive analysis you have to perform, and you need to give the analysis. So how many units has been sold in this quarter, in this month, in this like in this year, or in last year, last 5 years, last 10 years. So these kind of answers you can give it in the analysis called as descriptive analysis. If you ask me, like you are going to perform on the data that we have, right? So already we have a data. So on the data we are analysis. So what we are analyzing, we are doing the analysis on what happened to our business, right? So this is what we are analyzing. So by doing the descriptive analysis, we are giving an answer of what happened to your business, right? So it might be, anyways, we are working with an automotive company, as I said. So we are going to give you like how many has been distributed to the distributor, and from distributor, how many has been sold out for the customers, right? So these kind of data we need to provide, and we need to give it to uh, the managers who are responsible for taking care of all the financials and all. So this is what the descriptive analysis, right? So in descriptive analysis, you are responsible for creating a report, and you need to provide the details of what happened to your business, right? So this is the analysis which has to be performed by the data analyst. So data analyst is responsible. So I will write, so data analyst is responsible for this. So to create descriptive analysis, to give the descriptive analysis or descriptive type of story, to tell a story of descriptive analysis, DA, nothing but the data analyst is responsible, right? So he is what responsible for the descriptive analysis. And if you move on to the second analysis, right? So I hope this is clear. So descriptive analysis is nothing but the analysis should have tell what happened to your business, right? It should answer the question, what happened, right? So it might be about how much you have been sold, what is the profit generated in the last month, last quarter, like what is the profit margin, and so how much you have been achieved, in which areas you have been performing the sales, right? So these all the questions you need to answer with the question of descriptive analysis, right? So descriptive analysis is an analysis performed by the data analyst, right? So there is a second analysis, right? So within the data analysis, within the categories of data analysis, so the second analysis is called as diagnostic analysis, right? So diagnostic analysis is an analysis we need to provide. So we already got a question, right? So for a question, we got an answer that what happened to your business. And here in the diagnostic, the name itself, it is diagnosing, right? So it is, we are diagnosing it. Diagnosing is nothing but, so we are finding for a solution. We are giving a solution to this, right? So here we need to identify, we need to diagnose our results, whatever happened to our business, right? So why it is happened, right? So in this area, right? So for example, you have created a report, or you have created a report, and it has a metrics. For example, we are discussing about the automotive industry. So suddenly the sales in the last 3 months or last 4 months, from the last 4 months, like the sales are declining, right? So every other month the sales are declining. So this is not a positive sign for our business, right? So declining in the sales of any product or any category is not good for our business, right? So once you are seeing this kind of trend, right? If anything is failing or if any product is failing in the market, and if you are evident of in the reports, right? So definitely you can see the time series analysis. By the time series analysis, you will get to know. So like where your sales are decreasing and where your sales are increasing, right? So when you got in the what happened to your business, right? So if your sales are reducing month by month, right? So definitely there is an alarming situation, and you need to find a solution for the why it is happened, right? So you are not completely responsible for this question, right? So because so you need to understand the business perspectives, nothing but, so for example, if you are a data analyst, you are not any person who is related to the business analyst or market analyst or risk analyst, right? So there are different kind of analyst persons are there, or there are some managers, product owners. So there are a lot of people are there involved into the business. So as a technical person, what you need to do, you need to give an answer to what happened to your business, but and you need to help to the business analyst, and you need to help to the business owners to make understand what is happening in the business, and you can help them to give an answer why it is happened, but you are not completely responsible to give an answer to what happened, right? So if the sales are reducing for the last 3 months, right? So there might be a season, there might be a seasonal, right? So season in sometimes, so the season in a unseason times, right? So definitely the sales will be drastically reduces. It is an unseasonal time, or it might be a recession going on. So sometimes the economic situation of the country might not be good, or a particular area economic condition is not good. And if the country or if any other issues with the with this any other issues, you might have less sales in the different areas, right? So we need to analyze a lot of things. Are there might be a competitor, so which for example, if you see, there might be a Geo, right? So before Geo there are 13 to 12 telecom companies, but after Geo, so no other company left. So there now only Airtel and as well as the Geo are running, right? So if any competitor is coming up with a competitive price and a very quality product, so definitely people will attract to them. So our product will be less demanded in the market. So we need to analyze a lot of things to answer this question, why it is happened. But we are not responsible completely to answer this question, why it is happening, right? So this is the responsibility of a lot of people sit together, and they need to discuss and they need to analyze what's happening in your business, right? So this is what we need to analyze in the diagnostic analysis. So this is also one of the important step, but yeah, we are not completely responsible. So we are responsible for some extent. And then the next one is predictive analysis, right? So predictive analysis is nothing but the analysis which is going to performed on the right, so data that we have already, but it is not going to give the answer of what happened. It is going to give the answer, right? So the name itself, the predictive. So we are predicting the something, right? So what will happen in the next year, or what will happen in the next quarter, right? So what will happen in the next quarter? So based on the trends and patterns, for example, you are running a business, from last 5 years, last 10 years, right? So definitely you might have some trend, right? So for example, every year you are getting a growth of 2%, 3%, or 5%. So there might be a seasonal businesses. So you can see this, there is a trend going on in your business, like these are the trends. So by going through the previous trends, like how this is happening, how the sales, in which month you are getting good sales, and in which month you have unseasonality is there, and what are the issues for the unseasonality, and how the market is reacting. You could sense all these things in the history, right? So by going through the last 5 years, you can sense like how our business is performing, in which quarter it is performing, and how in the which month it is performing, in which way, right? So we can find all these things, and by finding all these things, we can predict some future as well, right? So we can predict. So this is our future. So whatever I am showing it in the dotted line, so this is our future analysis. Anyways, we are not responsible mostly for the future analysis. So this is the job role by the data scientist. So data scientists are responsible for the predictive analysis, but sometimes as a data analyst, we have to work on the predictive analysis by using some AIs and machine learning models which are there, right? So we can predict within our model as well, within our BI tools as well. So Power BI has some capability, and Tableau also has some capability to work on the predictive analysis, but not up to the great extent. But yeah, so we can give some high level or some fundamental kind of things on the predictive analysis, right? So as a predictive analysis, as I told you, so it is a duty of a data scientist. Sometimes we also has to work on the predictive analysis as well. So in this predictive analysis, what we are going to answer, so we are going to answer for the question, what will happen, right? So what will happen in the future? So this is what we can expect from the this analysis called as predictive analysis, right? And if I move on to the fourth analysis, the fourth analysis is prescriptive analysis, right? So for example, the prescriptive analysis is nothing but, so you got, right? So you got the targets, right? So what will happen, you get to know in the future, this might be the our targets, or this might be the number that we are going to achieve, right? So definitely we need to set some targets and the goals as well to our employees, and as well as the managers, so whoever working on the business, right? So we need to set some targets, and as well as the, right? So set some targets and the goals, right? So these are the things you need to do in the prescriptive analysis, right? So setting some targets to the business, setting some goals to the business, right? So these are the things we need to perform in the prescriptive analysis, right? So these are the four different analyses which are there, and there is a one more analysis there. So it is completely different with analysis. So these analysis is called as cognitive analysis, right? So cognitive analysis will require human-like intelligence. So NI, right? So I'm missing NI. Okay. So cognitive analysis is requires a human-like intelligence. For example, if you ask me, right? So what is the example of it? How can I understand this cognitive analysis, right? So here you require human-like intelligence to work with the analysis. So human-like intelligence is required to work with this kind of analysis. So for example, so if you take the example, so for example, if you go to any website, right? So if you purchase any product, so you might see there is a column for the feedback, right? So some people come and write something about a product, and they will upload a product about you, about your product, and so they will give a lengthy feedbacks about a particular product. So definitely you are collecting the feedbacks in the written form, right? So it is not possible to analyze, right? So there are lengthy paragraphs. So it is very difficult to analyze this particular feedback, right? So whichever we got from our products, for our products. So for these kind of analysis, right? So we need to identify, like, is the comment is good? Is the comment is bad? Like, is comment is the neutral? So we need to identify, like, for example, they uploaded some pictures of our product as well. So we need to identify, like, is the picture related to our product? There are like thousands and lakhs of images. It is not possible to identify, like, it is your product or not. It is the related image of your product or not. So for these kind of things, definitely a human is required, right? So a human has to go and verify physically, or like by going through that, he can identify, or by reading the by reading the comment or a feedback. So he can get to know, like, okay, so this is a positive comment or this is a negative comment. But it is not possible for us to go through all the lakhs of crores of feedbacks which we got for the different across all the products, right? So that's why we are implementing a analysis called as cognitive analysis. So where we can perform here sentiment analysis. So this will give what it will give. So it will give you that, so whether the comment, it will go through the entire comment and it will read the comment. So basically it has some natural programming language within it. So it has some intelligence. It will identify, so whether the comment has a positive sense or negative sense or a neutral sense. For example, if somebody says, like, this is an exact, like, excellent product which I come across in my whole experience, and if somebody people write the experience with the product is okay, like, I'm not satisfied with the project, like it is not cost effective and it is not best price for the product, right? So you can see a number of comments over there. So based on the written, right? So based on the written comment by the end user, so it will give you the sentiment score from ranging to 0.0, 0.1 to 0.99, right? So whichever comes for the 0.1, so that is a negative feedback, and whichever is giving to 0.99, that is called as a positive feedback, right? So this is, it requires the human like intelligence. So that's why we have an AI feature. So we can use the AI feature by using the natural programming languages, and we can analyze this cognitive analysis, right? So again, cognitive analysis we can perform using the Power BI, right? So Power BI has a capability to work on the cognitive analysis in a some bit. So it doesn't have like a entire bunch of all the things to work with the cognitive analysis. But yeah, so Power BI has enough cognitive analysis where it can get the sentiment analysis, object analysis, and image analysis. It can do all these things using the Power BI. So we can do all the this kind of analysis using the Power BI, right? So these are all the different kinds of analysis that are there. Okay, so I will revise all the analysis one more time. So there are 5 different categories. So there are 5 different categories. 5 categories are there. So the first category is descriptive analysis. So descriptive analysis will answer the question, what happened to your business? Nothing but, so what happened to your sales in the last year, last month, last quarter, last 5 years, last 3 years. So this is what you will get in the what happened, right? So in the descriptive analysis. So descriptive analysis will give you the answers for what happened to your business. And finally, diagnostic analysis. So diagnostic analysis is nothing but once you got the question, right? So what happened to your business? You might have a very exceptional sales, or you might have a very bad sales as well, right? So you need to analyze, like if it is a very good sales, you need to analyze why the sales are coming good, and you need to identify like what is going good in your company, and you need to follow the same procedure for the different products as well, right? So if you are achieved good sales in the one product, you need to you need to apply the same kind of principle, and you need to achieve so same kind of results within the other products as well, right? So if it is going bad, you need to understand like what is happening within the business. Is there any issue in the market, or is there issue with the product, or is there any competitor coming up with a new product, or is there any new innovative product which is coming with a lesser price, right? So you need to be competitive enough to work with the businesses as well, right? So this is all about the diagnostic analysis. So diagnostic analysis will give you answers why it is happened. So what's going wrong? Where is the problem? We need to identify where is the problem going on, right? And this is called as a diagnostic analysis. And predictive analysis, so this will give you an answer with what happened, like what will going to happen to your business for the next quarter, next month, right? So it will give you some targets, right? So next month you might have a sales of this much, you might be sold this much of quantity of the products. Anyways, we are working with the cars company or like automobile company, right? So for example, you have a assumption or a prediction of, so you are going to sold 10,000 units in this next month, right? So you should be ready to production ready for all the 10,000 units, right? So this in the prediction, you predict in the predictive analysis, you can predict the things and you can be ready, and you can set the targets and the goals to your employees to achieve that particular demand which is coming in the market, right? And you can also put some targets on the sales, like this much we need to achieve to go to the next level, or to get some headwinds to our business. So definitely we need to set some goals and targets in the prescriptive analysis. So this is called as a prescriptive analysis. When we get what will happen, and we will set some targets, so what will happen to your business, and so what to put as a target and what to put as a goals as well. And finally, cognitive analysis. So cognitive analysis is like a broader term, so where you can need to human like intelligence, where you need to put the human like intelligence. There we need enough artificial intelligence and machine learnings. So one of the example is sentiment analysis. So where you can go through the comment, and you can get the sentiment, whether they return the positive kind of words for you or a negative kind of words for you, right? So this is all about we are going to see in the cognitive analysis. So these are the different kinds of analysis that are there within the categories of data analytics, right? So we will stop it here, the fundamentals of data analytics, because yeah, we have a it is two theory, right? So definitely everybody will get bored, as I told you. So we will move to the Power BI for today, and so the rest of the half an hour we will work on the Power BI, and yeah, we will see the practical things and the things that are there related to the Power BI. Okay, right. So any doubts on this? If you have any doubts, you can ping me in the chat. So based on that, I will answer your question. So I will wait for 1 minute. So if you have any doubts, you can ping me in the chat. Otherwise, like I will move to the Power BI. Okay, I hope everybody understood. So now we will move to the Power BI desktop, right? So we will see the Power BI concepts for now. So where I will demonstrate the things in the Power BI instead of that, like continuously going on the theory, which will go for you, right? So just I'm moving to the Power BI to discuss some technical concepts here. Okay, so we had an introduction to Power BI desktop yesterday. We seen like what is the interface of this particular Power BI yesterday, and we see like what is the Power Query editor and how to navigate to the Power Query editor, right? So we have seen all these things yesterday, right? So now we will move on to some bit of the really practical things. So for example, if you see, so this is the pane that we are going to work with the data to get the data to work with the different data. So now we will see there is an option called as get data, right? So if I click on the get data, so you will get, these are called as connectors. So whatever you are seeing, these are called as connectors. So what is a connector? So connector is a feature that are there in the Power BI to connect to the different sources, right? So if you want to connect to the Excel to bring the data from the Excel, you need to use the Excel connector. If you want to connect to the SQL server, you have to use the SQL server connector, and to get the data from the SQL server, we need to use the SQL server connector. And there is an analysis services connector, and there is a CSV, right? So comma separated value. So there is an connector for the comma separated value. For the text also, you have a text or CSV, you have a connector. So you can also get the data from web applications. You can use this connector. And there is a OData feed, right? So if you want to bring the data from the OData through OData, you can use the OData, and you can also use a blank query, and you can write a code and you can get the data as well. Right, so these are all called as connectors. So connector is a feature in the Power BI to connect to the data and to bring the data from different sources. Right. So if I click on more, right? So if I click on more, you will get a lot of connectors, right? So in Power BI, there are 130 plus connectors, and these are keep adding on, right? So every month they are adding, right? So they might add a new connector in the next month, right? So they are adding connector to the list every month. They might add a new connector in the next month or next month. So Power BI will update on every other month. So every other month from 5 to 10 or 5 to 7, Power BI will be updated. So once the Power BI updated, you might get a chance to have a new connector as well. So you can see these are connectors that we have, like plenty of the connectors. Within the connectors, you have different segments, right? So this is called as a file. File is nothing but a flat file. So flat files are the files which can be stored on your local machine. It doesn't require any configuration or any server kind of thing. So you can store on it your local machine on a computer, any other computer. So you can keep these files within the computer or OneDrive or kind of things. But databases, so databases require an applications to be installed and a server to be run under your machine. It might be a server or it might be a on your local machine also you can run. But yeah, it requires some extra configuration to work with this databases, right? So anyways, we will discuss the fundamentals of databases and fundamentals of warehousing. So when we start with the SQL, so where we will discuss about what is a database and how we can create database and what is the purpose of the database. We will discuss all these things once we move to the SQL. So now, So these are the databases, and you can also bring the data from lots of databases. So if you have, you can see if you're already familiar with some of the databases in the market. So SQL Server is one also famous, and Access is also famous, and Oracle database is very famous. IBM NetZeta, right? So IBM NetZeta is very famous. MySQL is very famous. PostgreSQL is like nowadays, like it is booming, and SAP HANA, SAP Business Warehouse, Amazon Redshift. So these are very popular data sources that are available, databases that are available within the market. You can bring the data from all these connectors, from all these data sources to the Power BI, right? So these are the databases, and this is the Microsoft Fabric. This is in preview, but still, right? So you can bring the data from within the Microsoft Power BI platform itself. So you have a warehouses, still it is in view, data marts, it is in preview, data lakehouse and KQL and Power BI data sets, data flows. So these are already developed one, but these are in a preview. So they are still in the development mode, but they released for testing purpose, and we can implement and we can try on implementing these things as well. So this is called as a Microsoft Fabric. So Microsoft Fabric is a technology that is released by the Microsoft, which is going to erupt the market. So we will discuss when the time arrives, like what is the Microsoft Fabric and what it can offer, what kind of services it is offering, right? So we will discuss when the Power BI service comes. But for now, so as a connectors, we have 4 plus 6. So 6 different connectors from the Microsoft Fabric, nothing but the Power BI itself. And we have a Power Platform. So again, there are 4 different connectors from the Power Platform. So Power Platform is nothing but, so within a Power Platform, we have 4 different things. So this is called as a Power Platform. So within the Power Platform, 4 different things. One of it is called as Power BI, right? So if I name it the 4, so the first one is the Power Apps, right? So Power Apps, and next one is Power BI. So that we are working on the Power BI. And the third one is Power Automate. So where you can automate the things, where you can automate and where you can create the flows, cloud flows, and on this desktop flows and all. So where you can automate the things on Power Automate. And finally, you have the bots as well. So bots will give you the auto reply for your messages. For example, if you see when you chatting on any WhatsApp, right? So when you are working on with the companies, right? So whenever you are trying to send a message to the company, right? So definitely within a second, you will get an auto reply, right? So this is generated by the auto bots. So virtual bots, we call it as. So there is an power within the Power Platform, we have the bots as well. So these are 4 different technologies under the Power Platform hood. So one of this is Power BI, right? So other than Power BI, we have Power Apps, Power Automate, and Power Bots or virtual bots. So these are the different technologies that are there in the Power Platform. So this might not be related to our topic, but yeah, so you might face a question within the interview, right? So what are the different tools or technologies that are there within the Power Platform, right? So within the Power Platform, you have a data source called as Dataverse, right? So this is also one of the important data source where you can connect to this data source and where you can build the solutions for your reporting. And data flows you have, these are legacy. Legacy is nothing but which are outdated. So those are not in service now. But the previously, whatever the data, common data services we are calling, so they added some they added some extra features to that, and they converted into the Dataverse. And so Power BI data flows, previously we call it as a Power BI data flows. So now these become the data flows. They added some features to the Power BI data flows and they converted into the data flows. So these are all the connectors that are there in the Power Platform. And if I go to the Azure, so if you already know it or not, so Azure is a cloud computing platform, just like an Amazon Web Services and GCP, right? So for Microsoft also, we have a cloud computing platform. So where you can create the cloud solutions over the cloud computing platform, right? So this is called as Azure. So the Microsoft Cloud Computing Platform. So for this also you have a plenty of, right? So anyways, this Azure is also from Microsoft and the Power BI is also from Microsoft. That's why they kept it a different segmentation for the Azure. So, but there is no different segmentation for AWS because AWS is again a different company altogether. So definitely they will promote their own cloud computing platform. So that's why you can able to see Azure here. So these are the connectors that are there for Azure. So you have Azure SQL database, Azure Synapse, Azure Databricks. You have HD Insights, Azure Data Lake, right? So Azure Cosmos DB, right? So you have a plenty of connectors for the Azure platform as well. So you have the Azure Databricks also, right? So you can also connect to the Synapse workspace, so which is in the beta version. It is not fully developed, but yeah, it is in the uh, beta version, right? Again, we have online services where you can connect for the Dynamics 365, Google Analytics, Adobe Analytics, GitHub, LinkedIn, and Mixpanel, Databricks, right? So this is not a Azure Databricks. This is a Databricks. So Databricks is a right. So a platform, and where you have the same Databricks on the Azure platform as well. So when they keep this Azure Databricks into the Azure, it becomes the Azure Databricks. But they have a standalone solution as well for the data. For analytical data processing, they have a solution. So Databricks here also we have. So these are the online services where you can connect. Like there are plenty of online sources. You can connect to Salesforce reports, Salesforce objects, Adobe Analytics, right? So these are the different sources we have. So whichever not falls under all these category, they will be into the different category. You can bring the data from web, nothing but the web pages. For example, you have any now the ICC tourneys are going, right? So you can directly connect to the ICC website, and you can bring the data from over there, and you can bring the data of any player or any team, and you can also create reports on that player as well. For example, if you are a like very cricket lover, like you love cricket, so then you can bring the data from ICC tourneys, right? So and you can visualize those data sets or those data as well, right? So you can also write a Python script, and you can also write a R script. You can work with the Spark, you can work with the Hadoop, right? So there are a lot of connectors are there. So you can bring the data from. So these are all the data sources where you can connect, right? So we will try to see what are the different modes to connect the data, and then we will try to bring the data into the Power BI, and we will analyze how this really works. Okay. So for example, if you see, right, so there is an Excel workbook, right? So if I click on the Excel workbook, right? So if I click on the Excel workbook, if I click on the connect, right? So it will ask me which Excel, right? So this is the path, right? So you already know how to go to the path. So if I go to the desktop, so this is my desktop. So within the desktop, I can connect to the Excel files that are there here, right? So if I go to the sample data, so this is the path that I am choosing for. And if I go to one of the data that is called as sales data, so this is the one of the project that we are going to work from end to end, right? So this is the data, this is the one of the organizational data, right? So we are bringing that organizational data into the Power BI desktop through the Excel, right? So now if I click on open, right? So this is going to open up a navigator page, right? So this is going to open up a navigator page, but if you are already familiar with the Excel, I will show you so the different thing, right? So this is how it look like. So I connected to one of the Excel sheet, the Excel worksheet. That Excel worksheet is called as sales data one, right? For example, if I go here and if I open the same report, right? If I open the same report over here on another platform, right? So let me open that. Yeah, so this is the Excel that we are opening up, right? So I'm opening up the same sheet that is called as sales data one. Okay, so this is the same sheet I connected to the Power BI. So you can see here. So this is the sales data one, and this is also the sales data one, right? So when I'm trying to connect to this Excel, what happening we will see, right? So there are 4 different worksheets. You can see this is the sheet one, and within the sheet one, I have the details of my company's sales, right? So this is the order ID. This is what the orders I got on from a particular year to the from particular year. So these are all the orders. So for the particular orders, like this is the sales amount. This much amount I sold for this particular order. So how much I profit I got, this is the profit, and this is the cost amount. So how many quantity I sold? I sold 3 quantity. So what I sold for this, I sold a product called as 36, right? So the 36 product ID I sold. How many quantity I sold? I sold 3 quantity, right? And this is the sales amount for that 3 quantity, and this is the profit for this particular ID. So this is called our ID, the order ID, and this is the sales amount for that particular order ID. So this is all about this particular table. So within the table, like where I am selling in the France country, which region it is in the central region, and like which mode I am shipping the product. I am shipping the product in the economy mode, and economy plus, economy plus, immediate, and priority. So there are 4 different ship modes, like this particular order. So this particular order I am shipping in a economy mode. Okay, so this is all about my sales data. So if I move to the second sheet, I have another table here. So this is also called as a table. So I converted all the data into the table, right? So this is the table where I have the product ID. So this is the product name, and this is the product ID, and this is the subcategory and category, right? So category is office supplies. So within the subcategory called as art, and so this is the name of my product. So Binny and Smith sketch pen. So this is what I am selling in this product ID for the office supplies. So this is about the all the details of what the products that I am selling in my store. Like if you can call it as a store, a chain of stores we have. So we have this chain of stores across the globe, right? So these are the products that we are selling across the globe. So for example, you can consider just like an DMart. So the DMart is available across the India. So it is available in the different states. Like it is available in more than 15 states. So within the 15 states, it is also available in the different cities. And within the different cities also, you have different branches as well, right? So we are selling some products within the DMart, right? So just like us, so just like the DMart, so here also we are selling some products, right? So these are the products that are selling in one of our stores. Okay, and after this we have the thing called as customers. For example, you are running a DMart business, so definitely there might be some customers, right? So the customers should be saved under the name of mobile number, right? So whenever you visit any GeoMart or a DMart, right, so they will ask you your mobile number. So on the mobile number, so they will store your customer details, like when you have the transaction, and so some companies will ask you like the data of details of email ID, what's your name, what's your full name. So some companies refers, or some companies wants the customer details. They will store all the customer details, like which on which day he born, and what is the age of the customer, and so what is the salaried, like he is a salaried income or any. So banks will definitely ask all these questions, and they will give a form to you, and they will ask you to fill all these kind of category questions. Like they will ask you, you are a salaried person. If you are a salaried, what is your income? If you are a self-employed, what is your income? So are you paying tax? Like if you are a salaried income, or like if you are a self right, so self-employed, so they will also ask you, so are you paying tax and all, right? So these are the questions that we got when you are going for getting any membership, or you want to register with any company, right? So basically this is what the customer details. You have the customer details, like name of the customer, segment of the customer, like the number of it. So he is the first customer, second customer, and third customer. And the thing is, he is internal customer, like he is working with us or not. So he might be an employee within our organization, and he might be purchasing some products from us as well. So if it is true, so he is working within our organization. If it is false, so he is an outsider who is like buying some products with us. So this is all about the customers. And if I go to the fourth sheet, so I have the date. So these are the dates that we are selling. So we have a dedicated date table. So we will discuss, so what is the need of the date table and why we are using the date table in the next upcoming sessions. But for now, it is required for the Power BI. Yeah. And there are 2 more tables. This is called as an sample table. And you can see, right? So if I click on this, and if I go to the table view, so you can see this name of the table is called as sample. And if I click on this, you can see the name of the table is called as table 6. And if I click on this, and so this is the name of date table, right? So, and in the sheet 3, I have a table name called as customers. And if I go to the sheet 2, I have a table name called as products. And if I go to the sheet 1, I have a table name called as sales, right? So these are the 4 different sheets I have. So within the 4 different sheets, I have 6 different tables. Each in first 3 sheets, I have 3 different tables. In the 4th sheet, I have 3 different tables. So 3 plus 3, 6 different tables, right? So now if I close this, if I go here, so you can see there are 6 different tables and there are 6 different sheets. So sheets are nothing but these are the worksheets, and the tables are nothing but so which are formatted as a table. For example, if you see here, if I click on the table 6, you can see this is the data that we have in the Excel as well. And if I click on the sample, so this is the data that we have as a table in the sample and the name of the sample. But if I click on the sheet 4, you can see, right? So this, you have a data and you have the employee number and the another, like this is a sample table and this is a table 6, right? So when you go through the sheets, you need to transform this data. Transform is nothing but, see, there are unnecessary null values here, unnecessary null values here. So if you want to get this particular kind of data, you need to remove a lot of columns which are not required. So here you need to remove the left side, all the columns you need to remove, and right side you need to remove all these columns. On the top, you need to remove all these 5 rows, and in the bottom, you need to remove all these rows to get this particular data, right? So this is one of the table within the sheet 4. So instead of doing all this process, so Power BI has come up with an intelligent solution that is called as this table, right? So when you have a table within your data set, so it will directly identifies the table and it will give you the data, right? So now to get this table, right, you don't need to do any transformations. Directly you got the clean data set or a clean data with the 2 columns and the 3 rows, whatever you need for the analysis, right? So this is what it will do. The Power BI will do when you are connecting to any data source, right? So it will try to fetch, and it will try to fetch all the tables that are there in the data source. So when you connect to the web page, or when you connect to the Excel, or when you connect to the any other data source, right, it will try to show you all the tables in the first place. Because if you have a table directly, right, so you don't need to clean the data, or you don't need to transform any data required, right? So there is no need of any transformations, right? So that's why so Power BI will come up with the intelligent solution. So when I click on this, you can able to see this is the preview, right? So this is the preview loaded. And if I click on this, this is the preview for this date table. This is the preview for the products table. This is the preview for the sales table. So once you see the preview, if you feel, yeah, it is required for your analysis, so then you can check the box, check the box, check the box, check the box. Anyways, as I told you, so this is the sample table, and these are the sheets which having the data, the same data. I don't require anyway these sheets. I don't require these 2 because so I created these 2 tables for the better understanding how the Power BI will understand the data, how the Power BI will fetch the data, how the Power BI will show the data. Okay, so I selected the 4 different tables that are required for my analysis purpose. So this is the way we need to do in the real time as well. So you might have like 30, 40, 50 or 100 data tables, right? You need to get only the tables that are required for your analysis. You need not to bring all the tables that are there in your Excel or in a CSV, or like you might have 100 tables in the database, right? So you don't need to bring all the tables. So like we will discuss tomorrow, like in next part of the data analysis, like fundamentals of data analysis, as we are discussing, right? So we need to get some requirements and all, right? So we will discuss all those things in the tomorrow's class in the theory session. But for now, so these are the 4 tables that are required for the analysis. And you can see here, there are 2 buttons, like apart from the cancel. If you cancel it, so all the interface will be cancelled. So I don't require this one, right? So I don't want to cancel this. So other than this cancel, I have 2 buttons that is called as a load and the transform, right? So if I click on the load, so this will automatically load the data into the Power BI desktop. But if I click on the transform, right, so it will move to the another tool the tool called as Power Query Editor. So if I click on this, so now you can see the data is moving to the Power Query Editor. So here I can transform the data. I can clean the data from here, right? So now I can see this is the Power BI desktop and this is the Power Query Editor, right? So still the data is not loaded in Power BI desktop. So you can see there is no data loaded. So once we finish our all the cleaning process, okay, so once we finish all the cleaning process, so then we can apply these changes to the Power BI desktop. So once you apply the changes, once you load the data after transforming, after cleaning, right? So it will be loaded into the Power BI desktop. So now if you feel, so all the data set, for example, if I go to the customers, I can verify here, like everything is fine. I can go to the date table or products table, everything is fine here. Date table, I can go through and I can see everything is fine here, right? So sales table, I can go through and I can see like everything is fine here, right? So there are a lot of different ways to check it, but for now, so we will like check it in a high level. So just we are not going to the deeper level, right? So once we finish all the transformations, once you feel everything is good, so you can click on close and apply. So once you click on close and apply, so the data will start loading into the Power BI desktop. So this is called as extract, transform, load. This concept is called as extract, transform, load. So we will discuss like what are the possibilities and what is the purpose of extract, transform, load. That is called as ETL. So this is the process of ETL. We will move like in the future coming sessions, we are going to work on Power Query Editor for like more than 2-3 sessions, like more than 3 sessions, we will work on Power Query Editor. So there we will understand what is the concept of ETL, why we need ETL, and what are the operations that we are going to perform in the ETL, right? So we will understand all those things there. But once you loaded the data, so you can see this is the data that we are loaded into the Power BI desktop, right? So this is called as a report view, as we discussed yesterday. This is the table view where you can view the data. See, now this is the customers. You can view the customers data. There is a date table, so where you can view the date table. So this is the data related to the date table and the products. So these are the products, and there is a sales, and these are the sales. And if you go to the model view, you can see the metadata, nothing but the table names. So these are the table names, and these are the column names. These are the column names within the customer table. So these are the column names within the date table. So these are the columns within the products table, and these are the columns within the sales table, right? So this is the way to get the data from Excel. So tomorrow we will move on to the next step, like how to get the data from CSV, SQL Server. For like we will try to see the different connectivity modes as well. So which is very, very important, right? So getting the data will take a longer time, like the next 2 sessions will take, or 3 sessions will be take for only getting the data, like what are the different capabilities, what are the different possibilities, and how the architectural level things work when we are getting the data, and how to think in the point of solution, providing a solution, how to think what are the performance impacts on the data when you are getting the data from the different aspects, right? So we will discuss all these things which are required for your job role when you join into the job. And we will also discuss the related things which are going to be asked in the interview as well, right? So here my intention is to cover the concepts which can help you in the real time, nothing but when you join a job. And the second intention is like, I also want to give you a heads up for the interview preparation and which kind of question you can expect from the particular topic when I am delivering that, right? So now if I am delivering the how to get the data, so here itself we will discuss like what are the possibilities and which kind of questions you might get if you have like 2 years of experience, 3 years of experience kind of thing. Okay. So this is all about for the technical discussion today. And if you want to join tomorrow, right? So this is the last demo session, as I said in the earlier class. So if you want to join tomorrow class, you need to be registered, right? So only registered candidates will be allowed to join the class tomorrow, right? If you like the session, if you want to continue with the session, right? So contact Kalyan, register with him, and so try to get a new link. So this is the last day for our demo classes. So from tomorrow, we are going to work on the real classes, right? So they're nothing but, so we are already we are into the syllabus, but still from tomorrow, so there are no more demo classes. If you want to join, you need to register, and this link will not work for tomorrow. So tomorrow we are going to get a new link for the registered candidates. So that's all from my end. If you have any question, you can ask in the chat or you can unmute yourself, right? So if it is related to the technical concept, you can ask me. Otherwise, if it is related to registration and all other things other than technical concepts, you can contact Kalyan. So that's what I am stop sharing, and you can continue. Like if you have any questions, you can ask. Otherwise, we will wind up the session for today. I will be available for next 1 minute. So if you have any question, you can ask in the chat or you can unmute yourself and you can ask. Yeah. Otherwise, like I will wind up the session within 1 minute.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes, I have one question for somebody like myself, who don't know nothing about Excel. It's possible to how does it work? We learn from the zero to I don't know which level, or we have to know some basics.
Okay. So for you kind of people, I will refer some documents, right? So you can go through the documents and you will get to know about the Excel. Uh, yeah, Excel is also one of the important tool. Anyways, we are going to cover the Excel, some advanced Excel, not some scratch, right? So it is not from the scratch. Yeah, if needed, yeah, you can go through the documents. I will share the documents with you. You can refer the documents and you can learn it. So if you are facing any issue for learning them, so I will help you uh, to understand, to make them understand. So this is what I can help you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so that's it for today. I hope you like the session, and I hope I will see everyone in the tomorrow's session. So thanks for being on the session, and thanks for attending this session for today. Right? I hope I will see everyone tomorrow on the session. Right? Thank
All
you.
right, thank you. So this is going to be 1.5 hour, right? Every day?
No, no, 1 hour per day.
1 hour per day
Yes,
from Monday to Friday.
correct. Yeah,
Okay, okay, okay. Thank you.
yeah. Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Thank you. Bye bye.